Well, greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. It is Saturday, and for those of you who do not know, Saturday is our live stream night. 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Saturday Nightmares, live from New York. I hope to see you all there. We do have a lot of fun and share a lot of experiences. Before we get into today's upload, though, a couple links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support the channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It does not cost you a cent. Click the like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads that I put out daily, click that bell icon, and folks, please share this video and leave a comment. Why? Well, because all of these things really do help the channel to continue to grow and go. And yes, folks, they definitely do matter. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump into today's upload, shall we? All right, guys, we would not have this experience that I'm going to share with you if this subscriber was not friends with another subscriber who I had interviewed about 2 years ago. They are both in the hunting and fishing guide business. And her husband actually is. She is friends with a subscriber that is also in that field. And she's a live stream lurker. She seldom comments, but she had seen last week's live stream, and a couple of things kind of just, you get those like little moments, and it's like a call to the truth. You just see something and you're like, wow, I think it's time that I share. I think it's time that I talk about this or whatever. Well, apparently that's what happened on Saturday. And first and foremost, the experience is her dad's, which he told her 2 years ago, and on his deathbed, he was in hospice care, and which is absolutely crazy because there is no coincidences. The news I got was about my dad yesterday, and as many of you know, my dad's very, very sick, and this lady is sharing something that her dad shared with her right before he passed away. And I really do believe that there are no coincidences, especially in this field. So anyway, it occurred in North Dakota in 1981. He worked for the United States Fish and Wildlife Service, or FWS. He was up in a region in the northern part of North Dakota. There's an area called Willow Lake National Wildlife Refuge, which has it's private property, but the federal government has easements or something up there. And there's a Willow Lake waterfowl protection area, which was created in the 30s and 40s. And which is funny because 2 weeks ago, I had gotten this hat from Filson, and many of you know Filson is an outdoor company, and they made like a replica of the civilian conservation Service. And that was founded in the 30s and 40s. So people could have jobs during the Depression era. And so wildlife refuges and parks could become established. Another coincidence, right? Just weird. And so this easement has, it's private property. It's an easement. And technically, you're not supposed to go there. It's not like a state park. You can go and observe the waterfowl and other wildlife, but not on that property. Camping is not allowed. Like, there is just no camping, no anything. So her dad was up in that region. This is 1981. And like I said, he worked for the Fish and Wildlife Service. So he's up there and he's checking on a couple of she doesn't really know, what his job entailed, but he was doing his, tasks for the day. And when he had gotten up there, he noticed something off in the distance. There was, he at first he noticed tire tracks, and he's just like, this is, not the way I come in, because he goes up there, and other Fish and Game or Fish and Wildlife Service members do too, or officers. So he's been there multiple times, and he notices these tracks that don't make sense. Like, these are not supposed to be here. These are not where we drive. And then he sees off in the distance a car and a tent. So he automatically is like, okay, well, I got to get rid of these people and let them know, hey, you can't go camping here. You're not allowed here. And she thinks that her dad wouldn't have fined the people. More or less just said, hey, you can't be here. Take off. He was a really decent, kind of just quiet, nice, humble guy. And so when he gets up to the car in the tent, it's kind of like a campsite, little campsite, he finds this man and woman. And at first he smells this really very rancid stench. And he walks into this small little campsite and he finds a man and woman, what appeared to be pretty badly torn apart. But they had been dead for what appeared to be a couple days. So now he's looking around, like looking for tracks, thinking, maybe something happened. And after these people had passed, some wild animals came in, and maybe that's what did this. So he's looking for, whatever, because this doesn't make sense to him. He's been up here for, numerous times and never, ever saw any people. So he radios it in. He goes back to his blazer and radios it in. Now he's waiting for his supervisor and backup to arrive. So he thought, he's thinking, my supervisor's going to come because there are deceased people, and, we got to figure out how we're getting these people out of here, what the protocol is, because he's never had anything like this occur. So he starts to look around and he sees some just really large prints, what appeared to be some scat, but it was just large, almost human looking, but almost canine, bear-like, just a big pile of, scat. And on the shrubs and brush, what looked to be like just old dead hair. So he's, looking around like what happened here. He kind of looks at the people, looks for bullet wounds, looks for knife, but he's just seeing like animal carnage. After about an hour of waiting for his supervisor and backup to come, which he knew it was going to take some time because he's pretty close to the Canadian border, he starts to hear these kind of strange growls and kind of like yips. And that's the best way she could describe it to me, as what her dad told her. But he said like it was almost like two wolves were communicating with each other. And he's now like, that's real weird, because they're separated, but it's almost like they're talking to each other in these kind of growls, these yips. And he sees one over here at first, and it's coming, and he's like, whoa, that's huge. That is absolutely enormous. And he hears another growl, like yip, and he looks over, and there's another one. And, they're coming at him going this way. And they're huge. They're just absolutely huge. He is once again away from his blazer because he did his call in via radio, and then starts to look around. So he's like, I got to get back to my truck. He had what she thought and believed was a 45-70 lever action rifle. He always carried that rifle with him in his blazer. It was his work truck, as well as, his shotgun. But he grabbed that rifle because, judging from the build and aggressive manner that these two creatures, what he thinks are huge wolves, coming in at him, he's like, my service pistol is not gonna, service revolver first of all, and it's not gonna do anything. And they stay somewhere about 50 to 70 feet away, just kind of watching him, trying to figure out what he's doing. And he's standing now by the driver's side door with his lever action rifle. He's not pointing it at them at this point. And within a couple of seconds, one just stands right up like a human. It just stands up. And he's shocked, like, looks over, and that one's standing. He didn't see that one stand up. He it was on all fours. That one was on all fours. He watches this one stand up, and when he looks over, that one's already standing up. So he's now petrified. He's trying to keep an eye on them, and he opens his door, grabs his radio to, say, hey, where is my backup? Backup is required now. I need you guys. And as he's radioing in still, he hears this like really deep growl. Nothing like the two when they were coming in and communicating with each other. But this was just like, get your hands off the radio growl. The next thing he's aware of is that growl, and he notices that, and he recalled this vividly, like it was yesterday, while talking to his daughter while in hospice. It's an overcast day out, but he notices that their eyes are not wolf eyes. They are just this kind of like golden, glowing color that's cutting through this like dreary kind of day. And he's, now he's stepped back and he's very aware of everything that's going on. And he sees that, he looks at their eyes and he sees that the one that stood up first looks over to the other, and it starts to do this kind of like walk towards him, but not a run, but kind of like it takes a couple steps. He's in terror and fires. And if you don't know what a 45-70 is, it's like shooting a tube of lipstick out of a gun. It's a very large caliber round. Not the biggest, but it's a badass round, and it's usually used on big game. So and that one dropped. He shot it like in the chest neck area, and it just dropped. Her dad was, brought up hunting, fishing, trapping, and he was a very good shot from what she remembers. And he, at that point, this one's almost on him, and he has just enough time to get in the blazer and shut the door. And as he gets the door shut, the thing just slams into the blazer. Bam! And it rocks. That's how powerful this creature was. He's trapped inside of his blazer, and the creature is just, trying to get in. It's pounding, thrashing at his vehicle. And he said to her that as he's trapped in there, in his head, he's like, this thing could easily break one of these windows. Why isn't it breaking a window to get me out? The only thing it did was slam in and claw at his tires and his, the whole truck. But why didn't it smash the window? And he remembered that, this was a very crazy experience. And when I say remember, you will see why I say this, because after this experience, he kind of just takes off. This goes on for a little bit. He's at the point where he's like, I'm not going to come out of this alive. This thing is going to, smash the window for what I did to its friend, and it's coming for me. By then he sees off in the distance and hears some vehicles coming, and he recognizes his supervisor's vehicle right off. But he doesn't recognize the other vehicle. And it's an older Toyota Land Cruiser. As they're pulling in, the Dogman kind of looks over and just takes off going north towards Canada, towards more of these wildlife refuge, because there's a bunch of them in the area, I guess. The supervisor stops and gets out of his vehicle, starts talking to her dad, and he's looking over like, who are these guys? Because they just drove right by. He's at this point now filling his supervisor in, like, hey, this is exactly what happened. This is how I found everything. I didn't touch anything. Here's some scat. Look how big these prints are. This is where I found the people. This is one of these things that I just shot. I don't know what to do. He's just something that's never happened to him ever. And about 10 or 15 minutes will go by, and he hears some, firearm reports, and a couple minutes go by, and he sees the Land Cruiser coming back at him, and it parks. And on the hood of the Land Cruiser is, draped over the hood is this Dogman, dead, shot up. They get out of their Toyota Land Cruiser, and one guy goes and starts talking to the supervisor. The other guys are out of their vehicle. They open the back door, and they just toss the bodies in. They take the two dogmen, toss them in, and then the human remains, toss them in. He didn't look inside the vehicle, like if there was a tarp or anything down, but they just, without any even respect. That's what got him as he's watching this go down, because he's like, these are people. I can see, tossing whatever the hell these things are in the back like that, but these are people. This is a man and woman, that are practically falling apart from decomposition in the wounds. The supervisor looks at him and says, we got to go. You're going to need to talk to somebody, kind of like a debriefing. But we're going to leave your blazer here, or North Dakota's blazer there. The car in the tent. That's my job to figure out where, what we're doing with them and where we're going to go with it. But right now, it's imperative that you get in and, we'll follow these guys. So they proceed to follow this Toyota Land Cruiser. They're going south. They end up following this Land Cruiser to the Minot Air Force Base. And he's now kind of like, why are we here? First and foremost, we have no, even though we're federal, we have no kind of anything with the Air Force. We've never used any of their services. What's going on? He's brought into this gray, drab room where he sits for almost an entire day without anyone talking to him. He's just sitting in this very dark, grayish, cold room. And finally, these two guys, not the men that came in, but these two other guys that look very similar to each other, like almost brothers, twins. And I asked her, I said, well, were they like a nondescript, because I've had a couple people say, I was spoken to by these really nondescript like people, or there was a case where a Boy Scout saw like this kind of like reptilian man in a suit. And the only reason why he caught that is because he looked over at him and he saw his eyes change. So they, after a day of her dad sitting in this room, they start to talk to him like, what were you up there for? And he's like, my job. Yeah, but what were you doing when you saw the bodies and then you saw these wolves? What were you doing? And he kind of breaks it off right there and says they weren't wolves. Those were something else. They stood up like a human being. At that point, they leave the room again. And that goes on for a week. Almost an entire week of just questioning, threats. His family didn't know where he was. Can I call my family? Can I let my kids know that I'm okay? My wife know that I'm okay? So he's there, stuck, and they come back in, and they're like, listen, these were gray wolves. You didn't see the bodies up there. You didn't, your truck wouldn't start. That's why it's stuck up there. And you need to sign these papers stating exactly what we told you to say. I drove up there to do my job and my truck broke down and wouldn't start. You didn't see a tent, you didn't see bodies, you didn't shoot something. And he's like, no, I can't. He's like, no. He's like, I know what I saw, and people need to be aware of these things. What are they? What the hell is going on? Who are you? She only is thinking about her dad, how he would be, because as he's telling her, he's very sick, so he's not giving a ton of detail, but just judging of her dad's character, of what she remembers of him, how he would act and respond to certain things like that. And so they looked at him and they said, okay, well, we've already let your family know that you're here, that your supervisor and we are interviewing you about something that happened. And they're being very vague, like we told them that we are interviewing you. They know where you are. They know you're alive. But if you do not sign these papers, we have ways of making you sign them. Or if not, there's other things that we can do. Like, we can charge you with shooting an endangered animal. We can charge you with shooting a gray wolf. And he's like, but I didn't. That wasn't a wolf. Right, but you did. And that's jail. That's prison time. You'll get up to 2 years and a fine. And he's like, I'm not signing the paperwork. I want to know, people need to know that there are these things out here. I've been doing this job for however long, years, and have never seen anything like this. The public needs to be informed. Where are they coming from? Canada? He thinks that was one of his, and you'll see. So that's what they do. They end up charging him with shooting an endangered species. The federal judge or magistrate charges him, and sentences to 2 years in prison. And time goes by, a couple months go by, they come in, nope. And he's not allowed to see his family, but he's allowed to speak to them on the phone. And he's, they just really kind of just strung him and really messed with him bad. So about 4 months into his stay, he agrees to sign the NDA. Like, you will not tell anyone about this. It never happened. And if you do, you'll come back to, you'll finish out the rest of your time. You won't have a job. So 4 months go by and he signs. He signs on the 4th month. And by then, his wife is, he doesn't have a job, lost his job that he had for, however long. His wife divorces him, takes his 3 kids. One is one who told me this. And so he gets out, and he, now divorced, moves away. Moves to Montana to become a hunting guide. Because that's all he knows is the outdoors and how animals, live and this and that. That's what he does. She also thinks that besides just to get away from North Dakota, that he moved out toward Montana not only to be a hunting guide, but to hunt these things down, which if he did hunt another one, she was never told. And up until 2 years ago, he held this secret, being a hunting guide. And I guess he knew, hey, I gotta share this for whatever reason, whether it be salvation, or whatever. But I need to let people know that there were bodies out here. crazy. So, yeah, that's exactly how a federal Fish and Wildlife Service officer went to prison for shooting a gray wolf. Can you imagine having like that carried on your conscience for however long? You know? That's insane. To me, that's just, that poor guy's like psyche must have just been absolutely playing games with him mentally. But he did share. And hopefully that, with his daughter's help and everything, that helped him. But, wow. And there you have it, folks. I hope you all enjoyed today's upload as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. I'd like to thank you all for supporting the channel. After all, it is your support that keeps this channel growing and going, and what gives us all a place and a chance to share our experiences and theories judgment-free, just simply treated with the respect we all deserve. Everyone, please stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, pets, family, and friends. These creatures are real. They are out there and dangerous. Share this information with those you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. Until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for the truth, and God bless.